I've had a rough weekend. Now, I want to talk about what I have been doing for the past, 2 months or month and a half to 2 months later, okay? Because I've got to make sure I get past a certain probationary period to make sure I don't get suspended or terminated, not in a lethal way, but in a legal way or anything like that. So I will talk about all that later. Right now, what you're looking at are it's Marvel, but they're books that I got from libraries. This is from an LA library. Uh, we're just going to go through this really quickly. There's a lot. I love this book. This is a book. This is a book. This is the best book you can get about Marvel. Now, this goes from 19. It technically goes from the 19th century. I have three more books I'll show you, but it goes from the 19th century to 1989, to where not exactly Disney, but it it really it shows you a lot of the history of Marvel. So um, I'm no longer volunteering at the library that I went to, and I just thought about just talking about it. There's Joe Simon. There is Jack Kirby. These people created all these different characters that we watch, $1 million movies on Disney Plus and uh, maybe even DC Comics, Warner Brothers, HBO Max, all this stuff. This is stuff that we take for granted now because it's just there. I mean, these are just comic strips. These are comic strips put together in a book, right? But and these are books I got from a library. When you can't afford things and you want to get things, sometimes it's like going to a swap meet, right? You go to a swap meet. I used to go to my family and I used to go to swap meets all the time, and we would we would find things that we could just haggle and get good prices out of. And that's just how we were. Basically you were your own business. You made up your own rules and you could decide what you wanted to do. You could make decisions like that. You could sell products, maybe put a little bit of yourself out there. This was before, YouTube and all that. Amazing Adventures. So we have all this stuff here. The reason why now the pandemic has changed a lot of things. It has. It has doth changed a lot of things. Uh, and I just like we couldn't. I mean, of March of 2020 was the last time. Now, not only was I volunteering to be a a store owner or store manager, a person who runs a bookstore, friends of the bookstore, right? Friends of the bookstore, you sell things for free, right? Not only was I doing that, I was tech support. I was helping people, mostly old people who don't know how to work their phones, their tablets, computers, printers. And also there was a third thing I was doing was I was helping people at in communication between learning Chinese and English and English to Chinese, I guess. But I mostly would help them in English to Chinese conversation. And we had people. Let me tell you, we had a small conference room like the kind you see in public libraries. But this place, you had like 20, 30 people were coming in. It was such a, it's like this, it's like if this YouTube channel right now is building, right? But imagine like the communication event was a YouTube channel, right? Everybody come in and you can learn how to speak in English, how to write and read in English, how to communicate, right? Now we were not a class, so we weren't teaching people to um, we were teaching people how to speak Chinese or English, but it was just how to communicate better, how to express yourself better, and I think that was great. I think that was a good old time. So three things. So communications, Mandarin English class, or workshop. Actually, it's a workshop, not a class, because you're not learning stuff. So that's communication workshop, tech support for seniors and anybody else, and then finally, um, the bookstore. So those three things that I did before the pandemic, before any virus hit us, and that really hit me hard. I think I might have mentioned all this before, but I want to condense all of that into one video, this one here, because I may have said all this before, but I forget things I say or which video I said it in. After a while, you just get forgetful. So X-Men, all new, all different. I'm just going to go through this really quick. There's the Punisher. This is as far as it goes, 1978 to 1990 in the future of Marvel. And this was 18 years before the first Iron Man movie and whatever was going to happen here. There's the cartoons. You can see the history all the way around. It's such a great book. And you pick up these books for like $5, and it's really great. There's souvenirs. This is the future. This is it. All these toys. This is where it all ended up. She-Hulk. And oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, great stuff. This is Todd McFarlane, who was making toys for DC Comics, computer generated stuff movies are made of. All these computer generated art. That's the future. I mean, the future is in the past, and these are old comics. And I'm going to show you another book. So what happened exactly? So March of 2020, I lost all those 3 library things. I didn't get to do them anymore. Now, this is a book about Japanese art in the 19th century. And I'm going to show as much as I can. It's going to be not perfect. I'll zoom in a little bit so we can see a bit better. Yokohama and all this stuff. And right now, I'm just trying to figure out what is best for me. So I lost all those things. And I remember talking to, well, we'll call her Lisa. That's her first name, okay? So it's a library that I volunteered at in Southern California, a small place with a large Asian community. And Lisa was my volunteer coordinator, okay? And she basically said, okay, we're going to be closed. The library is going to be closed. The bookstore is going to be closed. All activities are closed. So basically, go fuck yourselves. we're not coming back. And this happened to everybody, right? To a lot of people. So that changed everything. It was like the Great Depression or the Civil Rights Movement, something that affected everybody during those times, like or World War II, or whichever happened. You know, it's like things. There's some art here. How Commodore Perry came in the black ships to visit Japan. That's what this is about. All this art here. This is great. I mean, this is an awkward, like, hello, gentlemen. How do you do? This is so reception of the Japanese ambassadors of President of the United States. I don't know if that's, looked like Andrew Jackson, but it might be somebody else. 1860, it might be Andrew Jackson. Look how serious. Good to see you. Good to see you. Everybody's very prompt. Their English was different. It's like looking at like another planet, isn't it? This is the weird art. But I was studying a lot of Japanese culture. I studied Japanese culture for years, and there's more to me than video games and comic book stuff and weird toys. I studied a lot of things in 40 years. But so Lisa shut us all down, and then we had to figure out what to do. You've fallen. I'm not sure. It was Alfred says to Bruce Wayne. It's like, it's not how you fall that you fall. The thing about you fall that you get back up again or something. I get that twisted. It's Batman Begins. I was gonna watch Batman Begins, but I can't find the. I had 2 discs, one that was shit and the other one that was good, that I could watch that movie again, because I was trying to watch the Dark Knight trilogy, which is Joker, Batman Begins, and The Dark Knight. We're going to skip The Dark Knight Rises. I know Christopher Nolan didn't make Joker, but whatever. I mean, Christopher Nolan would have liked, I think he probably does like that movie. It's like it had a Joker that was not as experienced or old. I mean, if you imagine that Heath Ledger was 65 and trying to mess with Batman. So the great ships. So I guess I had to figure out what to do. So I spent a lot of time doing my videos, okay? Because I think I've explained all that. And then but all this time I was waiting to go back to volunteering, right? I was waiting months and months. I mean, I think so. The whole 2020 was, you know what it was: George Floyd, the pandemic, the elections, the erections, the miserections, the misfires, the suicides, the drinking. You know all that, right? And actual deaths by the pandemic, people losing their families by the illness. So many things went wrong. This is such a beautiful piece. This is the black ships. This is Britain. All this stuff, all these things, and beautiful things. So I didn't get to do much of anything for a while, and then as soon as we hit 2021, around January to February, we had a meeting. So I remember Lisa says, "Oh, this won't take long. You know, this won't take long to get through this." Taking long meant almost a year. We were gone almost a whole year. So you tell me what's taking long, right? So yeah, Lisa was wrong to say that because, no, but to be fair, nobody really knew what was going to happen. But I mean, and we had a meeting in December about, oh, listing bookstore prices, but everybody was like, when do we get back? When do we get back? When do we get back to work? Because otherwise you can tell me, like if let's say you're interviewing a celebrity, right? You can tell me what she should wear for the interview, or what shoes she should have, or should she chew gum. But unless you're going to be able to interview her at a certain date, there's no point in talking about it. So she's talking about the prices of books, and it's like, what's the point then? There's no point. All right, I'm going to just skip ahead to the last two books, because why not? This is Mad About the Movies. These are the last two books I actually got from the library, and these are all about the parodies of movies. And I did, stupid thing, I didn't even know Mad Magazine was gone until after I got this book. I thought, oh well, they still make Mad magazines, and I didn't realize they stopped making them. And I was like, that's messed up. I'm still like reading this, and it's parodies. It's a really, I mean, that's why I was doing my Suicide Squad review. I was talking about this Towering. There's all kinds of movies in here. I mean, of all kinds of parodies. And I remember the artists. So this was like a long time ago stuff. So that was the last tribute to Mad Magazine, I think. I think this is A Few Good Men, A Few Goofy Men. Okay. All this stuff, The Shining, all these movies, man. It's amazing. But you can know what these movies are through this book. It was sad. So we didn't get to the point. So finally in March of February, I think February of 2021, we had a real in person, and it took a long time for us to do a drive-through book drop off for the library, and then it took a little bit longer. I think as late as Thanksgiving to Christmas to get the library open, but only the first floor because the bookstore was on the second floor. We had to redo the second floor. We had to redo things. So the pandemic, not only the events in 2020, but we had to rebuild the library second floor. And during that time, last Thanksgiving, there was a skeleton crew of about maybe 3 to 5 people in that library. There was not a lot. So that was fucked up. We got X-Men, or is it called something Men? I don't remember what it's called. This is the X-Men. So we go from Humphrey Bogart, Clark Gable type movies to X-Men. Before that, there were silent film actors, and silent film stars are all but mostly forgotten. Mary Philbin, it was one. Lon Chaney Sr. was another. Conrad Veidt, Veidt, was another. Those silent film stars lost their jobs when sound came in, and most of them hid in their houses until they died in the 60s or 70s. That was sad. But it's sad. Those people were the first actors, really, that you saw in a film, but they just didn't talk. And that was really the hardest part. You got the Peanuts. You got Peanuts at Gryffindor or whatever Harry Potter is. You got Harry Potter stuff. You got E.T. Oh, you got Spider-Man. This is new kind of shading, isn't it? This is new shading compared to the old school shading. I'm used to the old school. And Stan Lee has to have a cameo like in every Marvel thing. Uh, so many things here. This is, I think this is Revenge of the Sith. These are the prequels. It covers everything. I got to go back and read this again, man. Spider-Sham 3, you know what this movie's about. Harry Potter, and I think there was one more, interviews. I think 300 is in here. I think 300's in here. Let me see if I can find it. It's the Zack Snyder cut of the Zack Snyder stuff. Um, Introduction. I think there's more on the other side. And you can see. Oh, boo. 300. It's in here somewhere. If I don't see it, that's it. We'll just get to the last book. You got all these sequels. Pulp Friction. Is that called Pulp Friction or Plot Friction? Yep. You got movies from the 70s and 80s. All right. Well, oh, that might be it. Yeah, that sure is. It's 300. Oh my God. This is great. Great book. It covers 7 decades of movies. But before that, you had silent film. And before that, Edison didn't do shit. And look at this. This is Michael Jackson's Thriller. This is for Halloween. This is the perfect Halloween book. And I bought this. This was the last book I bought before I quit my job at the library or volunteering. So at some point, I told Lisa that I was going to go and try to go find work because I couldn't wait anymore, which was logical, right? I couldn't wait anymore for work. What was I supposed to do? What were any of us supposed to do? So what ended up happening was I eventually went back to volunteering I think it was not even, no, not even. It was like maybe June. I don't think we went back until June, I think, or May or June, somewhere in there. I think just before summer started. That's how long it was. So I think it just took a while. But eventually I went back in May or June of this year to go volunteer. And I stayed there through the end of August. And it just wasn't the same anymore. It really wasn't. You had to wipe down a lot. It, it was frustrating. And I didn't get along with people. We got along with the patrons okay, but I didn't get along with my coworkers, and we just didn't. It just felt like I was just not even there. The activity stopped for the workshop, the Chinese to English workshop. I was no longer tech support. I was just coming in, and I didn't have a regular. Lisa kind of punished me with no regular schedule, so I was not a regular volunteer anymore. So I came in if nobody else was in. And I'm like, but the thing was, just like Lisa made decisions. And so that one Zoom meeting we had in December, we didn't come back. That lowered morale. She may not have known that or cared to know that, but she lowered morale for the group. Because when you don't know when something's going to happen, that's going to affect everybody. That's going to affect everyone. You have to be able to have an almost sure idea of what's going to happen. But when you're a volunteer coordinator, it's like, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So some people may not have come back, and I don't blame those people for not coming back. But I had to do something. So eventually I applied for work in January because I waited to come back to volunteering. And I would have tried to apply for a job, which I did anyway, but that took a while. So I went to look for work in January of this year, and I eventually got somewhere. but I will talk about that later. But at the time, I was trying to get, one of the places I was volunteering at was a local library. Now, there's a library post I made a month or two back about Inglewood. But when I applied for the job of the library I went to, volunteered at, they did me dirty. They said that they just did human resources said, no, fuck off. They didn't even give me a chance. They didn't even look at me for an interview. They wouldn't even look at me for an interview, even though I had qualifications, meaning that I was a volunteer there. That means I had worked there. That means I know the people there. So logically, if you know the people there and you understand the ins and outs, you should get one interview. You may not get the top of the deck. You may not be qualified over everyone else, but you should get an interview. They didn't give me one. They did me fucking dirty. Those motherfuckers did me dirty. And it hurt me because I said, all that work I did for free and it doesn't mean anything more. That's ridiculous. I got a Starbucks card for my hard work this Halloween. But these people, they give you some things, like they'll give you free candy or maybe, biscuits or bread or whatever you do for your hard work, but not much more. And that's the end of this book here. Let me say some final thoughts. So after they did me dirty about no interview for the library as library page or library aide, I decided to leave, and I started to just keep looking for more work. And I said I would probably work at a Target at the end of the year if I didn't find anything, and then I would just give up and be like, that's it. I can't do more. As luck would have it, I got hired for something this Halloween. I won't say where, but I'm going to talk about things in detail right now. And it's by the seasons. It's not every single day of my life, and I couldn't do it. But I'll talk about more about that. But this was mostly about why I quit the library that I was at. And I've done 7 years of volunteering. I'm putting volunteering on a big old hiatus because it's about working for pay. This pandemic has changed my life, and I'm sure it has changed yours. If it has changed yours, put it in the comments section and tell me what has changed about your life. But I am so tired now, and it really is irritating. It just is. So what have I got planned? Now, let me tell you something. I'm relatively new, as far as getting popularity. But Angry Joe Vargas, Angry Joe Show, he tried to schedule a lot of his things about 5 or 6 years ago. Then he got whines and complaints from his fans, and then he blocked his comments and then turned off likes, and then he emerged from that. So as far as scheduling posts for this channel, I will say I will schedule posts up to 2 days. Anything more, it's up in the air. I could always move it down. I could always change posts around. But tonight I do have about 5 posts planned. So 2 for Family Corleone, right? 2 for She-Ra, and one other one that'll be a surprise. It won't be as exciting as those 2, but it's something that I just thought about posting about. So take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later on.